Good evening, everyone. We should be starting soon. We're just going to wait for a few more people to come on. Good evening, everyone. We're just waiting for a few more people to arrive. We should be starting in a couple of minutes. Thank you. Okay, good evening, everyone, again. I'm Irsa Weatherspoon, Chair of SLAC, and I have here with me Vice Chair Robert Witherwax. We welcome you. Thanks for coming. We expect this to be a quick evening, so I'm glad you guys are taking the time out to be here. Rob, I believe that we have a quorum. Can you just check that for us? Thank you.
I have that too, yep.
Okay, so we can do roll call, please.
All right, Kirmany Allison.
Present.
Thank you. Wayne Bailey. Gail Branch Muhammad. Janet Collins.
Present.
Thank you. Diane Duke. James Ellis. Fred Frazier. Tamika Gibbs.
Present.
Thank you. Oliver Hart.
Present.
Thank you. Alicia Nocenzo.
Present.
Thank you. Fior Ortiz Joyner.
Present.
Thank you. Robert Puca. Celine Rosado.
Present.
Thank you. Brian Saunders.
Present.
Thank you. Meredith Staton. I see Mr. Staton on the chat. Mark Thurton.
Here.
Thank you. Ethel Tias. Gib Vaconi. Yrsa Weatherspoon.
Present.
Thank you. Robert Witherwax present and Deborah Young. All right, we have 12 members present. Mr. Staton, if you are with us, we cannot hear you. So we'll come to you when we count the roll.
Good evening. This is Gail Muhammad. I'm here.
Thank you, Gail. I'll mark you present.
Good evening. Great. Thank you. Welcome to you, Officer Vidal.
Trial version.
Okay, so today we have 95 South. Is James Walker present?
Yes, I'm here.
Good evening. And also we have the Crown Inn.
Present.
Wonderful. Matthew, thank you. And Island CZ, are you present? Okay. Thank you. I don't believe that LA Burrito is here. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So we're going to get to the first application, which is 95 South. So James Walker, and the corporation is JADONS Inc., located at 778 Franklin Avenue between St. John's and Lincoln. You've been in operation for 13 years and 10 months. Indoor service area, 14 tables, 36 seats, one bar, 14 seats at that bar, with a maximum capacity of 109. Your hours are 12 p.m. to 6 p.m., closed on Mondays, 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Tuesday, 4 p.m. to 1 a.m. on Wednesday. I don't have listed the opening hours for Thursday. Could you tell us?
Thursday is from 4 p.m. to 12 midnight.
Okay, 12. Okay, so we have for Thursday, 11 p.m.
Okay, 11 p.m. is good.
Okay. And and you have Friday and Saturday is at 4 p.m. to 4 a.m.
Yes.
Okay, because you had p.m. for Saturday. I figured that was incorrect. Okay, and your measures for noise attenuation, you have a sound meter.
Yes.
Okay, so for outdoor area, the first one, it's garden, and you said that this has been the same area since your last application.
Yes.
So we have a 10 by 20 foot area with 5 tables, 20
Yes.
seats.
Yes.
Okay, and a maximum capacity of 20.
Correct.
Okay, so here your hours of service is only for 4 days, Wednesday through Saturday.
Yes.
Okay, so that's 4 p.m. on Wednesday to 11 p.m., 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Thursday, 4 p.m. to 12 a.m., and 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Friday, Saturday.
Correct.
Okay. So now we have the second area. Is this the area with regard to the pandemic provisions?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to confirm. And so of course it's your last application. It's not checked off, but that area is 8 by 24 feet, 3 tables, 12 seats. And the hours of operation in this space is 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday, 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. Tuesday, Wednesday, 4 p.m. to 12 p.m., Thursday, 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. I'm sorry, 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. on Wednesday,
Right.
a.m. That's my fault. 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Thursday, and Friday and Saturday 4 p.m. to 1 a.m.
Correct.
And you have amplified sound, 4 speakers indoors.
Inside, yes.
Yes, okay. Eight service employees, 4 security members and personnel, cameras you have, and there are 6 residents or number of residents in the building where you are located. Number
Right.
of residences in the buildings adjacent to the premises left, right, and rear are 20,
Yes.
correct? And
Yes.
no other changes have been implemented since this your last application?
No.
And do you have anything on the horizon planned?
No. Nothing.
Great. Right, I do see you have your the notice and things. Okay, so do we have any questions or comments from the community?
Officer Vidal, do we have any reports for 95 South?
Trial version.
Excuse me, who was just
I'm
speaking?
sorry, that was Tamika Gibbs. I'm
Trial
sorry.
version.
Yeah,
I
just
keep hearing
yeah,
trial version. Is that just me or my own person just hearing that?
I just heard it.
Trial
Okay.
version.
I don't know
There
what
we
that
go.
is. But
Yeah, I
we're
keep hearing
gonna
it.
move past it though.
Okay.
So, yeah, so
Trial
my
version.
question was, do we have any questions from the community?
Trial version.
None? Okay. Pierre, Police Officer Vidal,
Trial version.
do you have anything to report?
Trial version.
We're not hearing you. I'm sorry. Can you hear us? Because we can't hear you.
Trial version.
Oh, we don't hear you, Officer Vidal. Your mic is on, but we don't hear you.
Oh, no.
Trial version. Trial version.
Let me find out what is going on with trial version.
Trial version.
Officer Vidal, your microphone is saying that it's on, but we don't. There you go. Talk. There you go.
You hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, I just want to take a quick second just to let all the applicants know. Historically, complaint reports go up when the winter months because people are coming in with their coats and handbags, and they tend to leave their property unattended. Just take a quick second and train your staff to remind your patrons that not to leave their property unattended, and will leave greatly reduce the amount of complaint reports at a location. 95 South has 7 noise complaints going back from January of 2020 to present day. It's only 7, but they have see here 1, 2, 3 complaint reports for the location, and there was a SLA inspection back in August 27th, 2020, in which 5 summonses were issued. I'll let I believe Mr. Walker is on here. I'll let him describe what the summonses were for. There were 5 of them. The complaint reports, one was for petty larceny. One actually was a patron. The other complaint report was a patron that was in the location and was actually assaulted outside in front of the establishment with a razor. And the third complaint report that we have here was for an assault that happened inside of the location.
So,
And,
Mr. Walker, what's happening?
Either one of those complaints I don't have any recollection of. He said somebody got slashed inside.
Well, he mentioned petty larceny.
No, that was outside of the location. In front of the location, one of the patrons was in the establishment, and outside of the location, he was slashed.
Okay, so the petty larceny that you mentioned, Officer Vidal, that occurred inside the establishment?
Yeah, that was unattended property. That's why I just want to remind everybody
Okay.
to train their staff, to remind the patrons not to leave their property unattended.
Okay, so then the third thing you mentioned, it was an assault inside,
That's
correct?
correct, yes.
It's-
Was a simple assault of a punch.
I don't know anything about that. Was there? I mean, what was the name of the patron?
That I can't release on here.
Right. So you're not familiar with these activities that happen inside and in front of your establishment, is that what you're saying?
And this happened in when, in 2020?
Okay, the assault happened in February of this year.
February
The
this
other,
year? Of
yeah, this
21?
year, yeah. That's correct, yeah. And the other
Oh, no.
ones were last year.
February 21. Like, this is all during the pandemic now. Like, we just basically just opened back up. Right? Remember March 2020, we've been closed from March 2020 all the way through. Then we opened up for the outdoor dining like June, and then we had to close back down. And then we didn't really get open back up until this year, maybe like April.
The report that I have here is dated for February of this year.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know anything about February because I don't remember us we wasn't fully open in February.
Okay.
And this is what y'all have to remember. It's not just 95 South on Franklin Avenue anymore. So these people go from Franklin Park to drink 95 South. They go from all three different bars back and forth. So just because they say they was at 95 South, they could have been at any one of these bars on the block because they hop from bar to bar. So I mean, like when you tell me about these people getting slashed, I don't know if anybody getting slashed outside or anybody getting slashed inside.
So Officer Vidal, when these reports are generated, is a copy delivered, mailed, submitted to the establishment?
No, it's not.
So how would they know?
That's something that they would have to take the initiative to reach out to their NCOs to see if anything that's going on there.
Yeah, but if I don't know of anything, why would I just call to the precinct? I want to check today to see was there any complaints about me. Why would I do that?
Well, historically, you can reach out to, to your neighborhood coordination officer to get any type of information that's going on within your establishment or
I know, I'm saying,
surrounding your establishment.
but I know what I'm saying is if I'm not aware of anything, why would I just call the precinct just randomly, just call them and say, I want to know what's going on? Why would I do that? Like, I want to know, did anybody get cut in front of my place last week? Why would I do that if I don't know of anything about that?
But it's
Possibly
your
because your liquor
establishment.
license is coming up for renewal and you don't want to get blindsided like this. You might want to call the precinct the weeks or so before you have a meeting like this when you know the precinct's going to be out here. Just
Yeah,
saying,
but I'm
as
saying,
part of your due
I know what I'm,
diligence, maybe that's a good strategy.
no,
Well,
what
I
I'm saying
have
is
to,
that
I have to
if nothing
agree.
happened,
Wait, let's not all talk at once. Let Mr. Walker say something, and Ms. Collins, I hear you, so you can speak next, okay?
right. What I'm
Thank
saying
you.
is that if Officer Vidal came to me and said, we want to investigate the slashing that happened last night, then that makes sense for me to follow that up and say, okay, I want to know what's happening with the slashing. But if there's nothing that happened that I know of, why would I just call the police and ask about it?
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying in regards to it. Like, why should you initiate the questioning of something that you may or may not know what's going on in your establishment? But this is your establishment and you're up for
I know.
renewal.
If I can speak now, this is Janet Collins, and I would like to agree with Mr. Walker. And I think that there seems to be a problem because I think an establishment needs to be notified about any occurrence like this that's being stated here that's going on their property. And to try to put the onus on the owner, I think is scapegoating. So let's not make him feel guilty because who's going to call and say, well, okay, did anybody get killed? Did anybody get robbed? That's ridiculous. I'm going to speak very clear about that. So if you're going to try to put that onto the owner, I'm going to strongly object and suggest that there be a system where the owner is notified. I don't understand how an owner could not be notified if all these things are happening. It doesn't make sense.
Thank you,
I put it on them.
Thank you, Celine. You have something to say?
Responsibility.
I do, and I agree.
Thank you, Ms.
I
Collins.
think I agree that it should not be up to the establishment solely. I think there should be a program or where our NCOs are being a lot more accountable for maintaining and creating their relationships with owners of restaurants and bars. And I'm speaking from experience. So I definitely don't think it has to be 100% on the business. It really has to be a coordinated effort between both our city agencies, our state agency, as well as the business owner.
If I may speak now?
Thank you. Hold on.
Mhm.
Who's one to speak? Officer Vidal? Okay. So
Yes, correct,
Officer
yes.
Vidal, then Brian Saunders, then Gibb, please. Thank you.
Okay, so if there's multiple crimes going on in an area, the establishment, they do reach out to the establishment, or Special Operations Lieutenant does visit the location when there are multiple incidents like that occur. This is one incident that occurred on, this is May of last year, 2020, I believe it was. No, February of 2020. So, and it was just one incident that happened there in front of the location. The patron stated he was at the bar and the incident happened outside the bar. So yeah, I don't blame Mr. Walker for not knowing of this specific incident, but if there are multiple incidents like this, which they're not in this instance, the owner should, there is policy in place that the place does get visited and is made aware of all these things.
So now, just to touch on that. So when y'all say y'all visit, is it proactive or reactive? And what I mean is, y'all don't come out and come to me and discuss and say, well, listen, this is what's going on here. You need to watch out for this kind of stuff. Y'all come with the task force, destroy business, and that's not productive. That's tearing the business down when you do that. You're not coming to like say, okay, I want to know what's going on. This is we trying to correct this so we don't have this problem no more. Instead of bringing 20,000 cops and come and shut the whole place down while we in full business. That's what y'all do. Is that what y'all do?
That's not correct. That's not. Before you get a visit like that, there are multiple attempts to reach out to you and explain to you what's going on.
Okay, so when Pierre Louis was at the precinct, anytime there was an incident, he would call me. Direct phone, he got my number, right? He's not there anymore. So that was the relationship I had with the 77 precinct. But like I said, and I've been here going on 14 years. And in my time, there's never been anybody come out who tried to just be like, okay, well, we heard that, these things are going on, what can we do to get it fixed? What y'all do is y'all bring the task force, come with the health department, everybody come in the middle of business and destroy my business for the night. And that's not productive.
You're contradicting yourself, Mr. Walker, because Detective Pierre Louise, which was a community affairs officer, like you said, did reach out to you when these things did happen. Mm-hmm. And then you say that we just, without contacting you, just reach out and conduct an initiative with multiple agencies in your location. But you are contacted by community affairs. Yes, Detective Pierre Louise is no longer at our precinct anymore. I will reach out to our community affairs officer, the current one, and have them reach out to you personally. That way they can speak to you and you could develop that same relationship that you had with our community affairs officers. Right. But also in place, you do know, and I know if you've met our neighborhood coordination officers, they have reached out to you. You have had contact with them as well.
Who is that?
That's Officer Staffer.
Okay,
and,
yeah, Staffer,
and Officer
right?
Wallen, yes.
Right. Okay, I speak to Staffer.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that when you say that we usually have y'all method of dealing with this is
the enforcement,
yes. Yeah, and that's not the proper way. That shouldn't be the proper way. First, we should have a discussion not bring
That's,
the whole force
I
there.
agree with you, and that's what we do.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Brian, do you still want to speak?
No, my question was answered. I just want to know, Mr. Walker said that he wasn't aware. I want to know, as far as the complaint, what did it say the establishment was open at that time, or was it closed? That's my question to Officer Vidal.
The actual report I don't have in front of you. I'm actually home right now. So I can tell you what happened and the date. I don't have the time on hand right now to tell you whether when the actual assault occurred, whether the person, whether the establishment was still open or was it after it closed.
And Mr. Walker, my question to you is, when incidents do happen at your establishment, do you have like a record so that you can refer back to just in case of anything like this ever happening again, or maybe something like a patron getting sick, or do you keep like a detailed record?
Okay. What I do is, let's say, for example, something happens in my place. I go back and I make a copy of the video and I keep it and I still have it in my phone. So incidents that I'm aware of, I'll go back to my cameras and I record and I keep it. Because the cameras erase every like 2 weeks. So I make a copy of it and I have it on my phone. So if they come and ask me, I can show them the video. But I don't know, I'm not aware of anything he's talking about February 21st, 2021.
Okay, Gib?
Thank you. There's been a lot of discussion here about these incidents, but I just want to make sure that the facts are sort of clear here, because they're not necessarily clear to me. The incidents that Officer Vidal is discussing did any of them result in an investigation by the 77th Precinct?
Yeah, they do result in investigation. The results of those investigations I do not have on hand.
Oh, okay. So if these incidents were investigated, would Mr. Walker have been contacted, or would the detectives not have contacted him?
Like I said, every crime is investigated differently, so I don't have the specifics of how this one was or whether the
Okay.
detectives reached out to Mr. Walker or not.
Okay, I understand. So one more question. There was a discussion before Mr. Walker talked about having a bunch of agencies converge on his business. That sounds like a March action. Has there in fact been a March action at 95 South?
I believe there was one on August of last year.
Okay.
I've had the most March operations in Brooklyn for the last 14 years. I had a March operation 6 months after I opened, and they used to come every 6 months.
Okay, so what prompted the March operation in August? You said in August of last year?
That's correct, yeah.
What prompted that?
That information I don't have.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's a little different in that we all know that happened and the owner knows it happened and everybody knows it happened. But it is a little difficult for me to find the proprietor accountable for incidents where he may not have been, that took place, but with which he might not have been contacted by the police. So I just want to maybe look prospectively instead of retrospectively here and see if I might ask Mr. Walker what his security measures are in his establishment.
Oh, well, I have security at the door, in the middle of the floor, and I usually have somebody by the bathroom. And we check ID, we search them, physical search, and check their pocketbooks or whatever like that for any weapons, anything like that. We watch for anybody that may be getting too drunk and, or that's not, that shouldn't be allowed to drink, and we, put them out. So we try to prevent things from happening before it gets started.
And are your security personnel licensed?
Yes, it has to be licensed, yes.
Okay. So you said you have 3 security
Yeah.
when you're open.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you had an incident like the one that was described by Officer Vidal, where somebody was assaulted in your establishment, is that the type of thing that your staff would report to you?
Yeah, they would tell me. I would know. But I'm usually there, so I would know if something like that happened.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pierre Albert? Do you have a question or
Yeah,
comment?
yeah, so can you guys hear me?
Clearly, yes.
Yeah, sure. So Pierre Albert, community resident, former staffer to Assemblyman Kareem Kamara and Eric Adams. I just want to say I think it's really, really unfair to say that he should reach out to the police precincts on a regular basis, just in case somebody reported something, or just in case, I think that that is really unfair. And I agree that a system should be in place. And I also think it's unfair to bring up these incidents without having all the facts and all the information. There are a lot of gaps because as you were speaking, it's unclear about whether he was informed. It's unclear about the specifics of the investigation. And so, but let me get to my actual question. The incident that happened outside of his establishment, that, you know, it doesn't necessarily, we don't necessarily know whether it was related to what was happening inside. So my question is, were local businesses alerted as well as to the incident? And is this incident being brought up to local businesses as well, aside from just Mr. Walker's establishment?
Officer Vidal?
Only information I have about the report, I don't have what resulted in the investigation or what was done afterwards. So the only thing that I have here is the incident and the date that the incident occurred.
Right. So I think it's an issue that you're bringing up these incidents and you're bringing up the dates that they occurred, and you're coming at Mr. Walker as if it's his responsibility, but you don't even have all the facts. That's a problem. I'm familiar with Officer Pierre Louise. I think he did a phenomenal job when he was with the 77th Precinct. I just want to say I think that it's really, really unfair.
Thank
I'm
you.
not coming at Mr. Walker. I'm informing the board as far as what complaint reports were made. As far as the investigation that resulted in regards to those investigations, that information I don't have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Albert. I absolutely agree that there has to be a better system in informing proprietors because it's, I wouldn't be calling either on any kind of basis looking to find out if there's some sort of violation that I've crossed or what have you. So I think that's backwards. I also do not believe, Officer Vidal, that you came at Mr. Walker. I just think you just simply stated what you know, but just not fully prepared. And I also think that there has to be some relationship reestablished at this point, since Officer Louis is not with us, and see how we can make that connection. And I do also agree that I'd hate to think that other establishments, whether it's on either side or across the street, where have not been informed of what took place, because it may not have had anything to do with his business. So that's what I have to add. Are there any questions any more questions from our members, community or board members? Any? Okay. Would someone please make a motion for this application?
I move to motion with support.
One question, please. I think the opening hours for the front, we were talking about 1 a.m. opening on the weekends.
What
that
front?
right?
You talking about indoors or the first space?
Outdoors.
Okay. Let me pull that back. See what you're
Sorry.
speaking of. You said 1 a.m. indoors you're speaking of? Let me just pull it back up. Outdoors, I'm sorry. Outdoors, the first area, let's see. So the first area has closing at the latest 12 a.m. So now we're talking about the second outdoor space. There are 2 1 a.m.s for Friday and Saturday. Yes.
Yeah, I was wondering, we try to keep those outdoors till 11 p.m. normally on the weekends, and I was wondering if the proprietor would be amenable to adjusting the application to have a little bit more neighborhood-friendly opening hours and for the outsider.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
could you answer that question? Or did you hear it?
Okay, he's referring to the outside with which they gave us last year with the COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying that he wants us to cut the time back to 11, correct?
Yes,
But
that is the suggestion.
right. So what I'm saying that I put 1 a.m. down there, but we're probably not even out there that long. But the whole neighborhood has everybody's doing the same thing, so they're like if you walk up and down Franklin Avenue, all the bars are open at the same time. We're doing the same type of thing, and basically we all close around the same time now too. Um, to say that I'm gonna change it to 11 is probably be no big deal because we probably close by then anyway, as far as the outside is concerned.
Well, let me ask you something before you agree to that.
Hmm.
And you have already for your first outdoor space, which
Yeah,
is consistent with your last application,
right.
is at 12 a.m. So
That's the back we're talking about.
okay, so that's the back that you're okay. So
Yeah.
all right, so that's the question. So it's either 11 p.m. has been brought to the floor. Is that something that you can live with?
Yeah, I can live with that.
Okay. All right.
Question?
I'm sorry. Go ahead with the questions.
Yeah, who's speaking?
Somebody asked a question. I'm waiting for the person. This is Tamika Gibbs. I'm waiting for somebody to just ask a question.
Well, the
Oh,
question was
this is
asked
Mark.
by
I
Oliver.
have, oh, this
The
is
question
Mark.
was
I have
asked
my
by
hand
Oliver.
up.
Yes, Mark.
Isn't this like a gray line in reference to with the city and the hours that they're allowed to open? Is it that they're allowed to open their same interior and the sidewalk? Is it the same hour? I mean, because as he was saying, I'm walking around and I'm seeing all these bars open on the sidewalks to all sorts of hours nowadays. And is there a guideline for that?
Can
I
I
can't answer that.
I mean, can
listen?
you
Yeah.
answer that question?
Yes.
Zach?
I don't remember the exact times, but I'm quite sure our honorable Mr. Witherwax remember the times. We had the same exact conversation, the same questions last month about the outdoor for nightlife, the city nightlife situation. I believe it was till 12 or 12 or 1 on Friday and Saturday. I'm not sure. It was 2.
No, not
I
2.
may
I
be
think
honorable, Ms.
I know
Gibbs, but I'm not
you might
very
be right.
memorable. I'm looking it up.
I remember the same very conversation last
Yeah.
month in reference to Vanderbilt Avenue and Washington Avenue about the nightlife, the outdoor seating.
It was 12 o'clock.
It was midnight. Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
That's how you remember it. I see Matthew Roth shaking his head as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
That conversation sounds very familiar, like last month.
It was 12 o'clock until the open streets program.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. So we're bringing that up because we think that it's unfair. Are we saying that to have him
Yeah.
pull back to
Ersa,
11?
I'm sorry, Ersa.
Wait, 1 second, Gail. Are we saying that 11 p.m. is unfair to ask Mr. Walker? Is that the whole point
Yes.
of it?
Yes.
Okay. Gail, yes, what you're saying?
Okay,
What we,
that's what I was going to say. I think it should be the same standard that everyone else has. And as other people have stated, if you walk up and down Franklin Avenue, he is not open any later than any of the other establishments, and he should be treated the same.
okay. So then we're ready to make a motion, guys.
Want to read? Gib Baconi had a comment in the chat. Miss.
Yeah, he mentioned that it's
Marissa
12
Priscilla.
a.m. is
Yes.
the open streets. Did you have anything further to say, Gib?
I do. Yeah, so Franklin Avenue is not an open street. The outdoor dining for restaurants on Franklin Avenue would be regulated by the city's open restaurants program. I did a quick scan of the open restaurants page on the DOT website, they don't talk about hours of service at all. I'm gonna disagree with folks who think that because everybody else is doing it, that means everybody should be doing it. What happened during COVID is that we sort of opened a Pandora's box with stuff like outdoor dining and service and everything else. And we're going to have to put the things back in the box somehow. There's all sorts of things that got disrupted during COVID, everything from outdoor dining to street sanitation. And not everybody wants to continue living with all of these things. I mean, I say this as somebody who is helping to run 2 open street programs in my neighborhood. I mean, there is a balance that's necessary. So the fact that people are taking advantage of the lack of regulation in the open restaurants program does not mean that everybody should be doing that. And in fact, all those other people are going to have their liquor licenses come up at some point. If we're thinking we want to depart from our traditional role in regulating, community impact from outdoor dining, I'm not on board with that. I don't think we ought to be abdicating that and saying whatever everybody in the street is doing is fine. This committee has never ever taken that position that I know. So I do think it's reasonable to ask the applicant to limit his outdoor hours, and I think it would be reasonable to ask every applicant that same question because we know that late activity at restaurants is something that eventually triggers noise complaints. So I am supportive, and I guess I could go ahead and make a motion to support the renewal of the application with the change in outdoor dining hours that the applicant, that the proprietor has agreed to.
Rob, are you seconding, or you have a?
I'm going to, I'll second, but I want to point out I went down the same hole Mr. Vicconi did with the open restaurants, but I found a link to the SLA, which I think is relevant. Open restaurants punts to the SLA, and the SLA has this statement that I just put in the chat. Effective May 17th, the midnight closing time is lifted. This means that outdoor areas must close at the earlier of any stipulated closing time on the license or the county on premises closing time. So we're in the former, right? So we are free to negotiate, as Mr. Vicconi says, as we have always done with outdoor times. And if we have a standard we'd like applicants to adhere to, we are free to impose that standard. There's nothing overriding our usual and customary route of doing so. But yeah, I second Mr. Vicconi's motion as well.
Chair Weatherspoon, this is Fiona
Yes.
Turner. If I'm not mistaken, and I believe that Mr. Saunders tried to put a motion on the table and he was interrupted prior to this motion being put forward. Just wanted to state that.
Thank you. I wasn't aware of that. Is that true, Mrs. Saunders?
That is true. I put a motion to support 95 South before, and I was put on hold, and support the application for renewal.
Okay, so yours came first. Who did I stop you?
Motion received, Mr. Saunders' motion received a second.
Okay, so who's the second? Who did the second? I'm sorry.
Well, it wasn't seconded.
It was interrupted before anyone could second it.
Okay, so.
Well, then it didn't receive a second.
So he was interrupted.
Correct.
Right? So what does that do? I mean, if he was interrupted.
Are we waiting for some?
Is anyone seconding it right now?
Okay, what's the
Now we have a
what's the motion?
Recite your motion, Gib.
My motion is to support
wait.
renewal.
Not Gib, Mr. Saunders.
Brian's motion was on the floor first. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
The first one I made the motion, Brian Saunders,
Yeah.
and it was interrupted. So my motion, I don't know, it wasn't second, it was interrupted, was I was motion to support 95 South and renewal the application as is. No one second, it was interrupted.
Hold on, I'll second that.
Yeah, but wait, it didn't get a second. I don't think we can undo a motion that now has been seconded. You can propose an amendment to it.
Well, then my motion was, I mean, it wasn't received, you're saying, and then there should have been a second motion behind mine. Right?
Okay, so since we have, and I'm sorry that you were interrupted, Brian, because I didn't know there was a motion coming through. Do you want to make an amendment to this, to the motion that's on the floor?
For the first one or second one, I don't know. I'm confused right now.
What motion's on the, yeah.
Thank you. What's motion on the floor?
So please restate your motion.
The motion is to support the renewal of this application, of this license, with the closing times that have been agreed by the proprietor. And it was seconded by Mr. Witherwax.
What is the closing time exactly?
Yeah, what's that?
I believe the proprietor has agreed to 11 p.m.
11 p.m. when?
I believe it's that Friday and Saturday that you're open at 1 a.m.
Is that for outdoor?
That's
Or
for
is-
outdoor.
That's for the
Yeah, outdoor only.
Do you need to make an amendment, Brian?
I wasn't sure. Was the proprietor agreeing to that?
And is every other bar on that block want to agree to the same thing? Because I don't think it's fair for just Mr. Walker to do it.
Right. I don't know.
I agree. I don't think it's fair.
Okay, please, can we just not call out? We don't even know who you are. Can we, because we're trying to come out of a little confused situation. So my question again to Brian, do you want to make an amendment to the motion?
I don't accept the second. Well, basically, I want the first additional one, the 12 o'clock. And that's where I stand by.
So your amendment is to make it at 12 a.m.
The one that they put down first.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I would say this is unfortunately a decision that is your call to make, because we had a situation where there was a motion made. It wasn't seconded for reasons out of control of the motion maker. And during the discussions subsequent to that, another motion was made and seconded because we forgot about the first one. So I think it's a judgment call for you as to whether you want to revive the first motion and put it on the floor, acknowledging that a second motion has been made and seconded, or whether you think we should vote on that one first and see what happens.
Okay, so Brian, you have amended, your amendment is at 12 a.m. closing. Now on the application, it says 1 a.m. The current motion on the floor says closing at 11 p.m. and you're coming at 12 a.m. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
May I speak?
Will you accept that amendment? Gibb and Robert.
Oh, I'll accept it, sure.
Okay. So we can call the roll then. It's an accepted amendment.
So we're voting
12 a.m.
to approve at midnight.
Yes.
Is that okay with the owner since he agreed to 11?
Well, it's later than 11, so one would
I
assume
know
that
it's
it
greater
would.
than 11. We don't want to assume anything. We want to hear from him.
I'll agree to the midnight.
So you're agreed to a 12 a.m. closing, Mr. Walker?
For the outdoor, for the front.
That's fine. Okay. Roll call, please, Rob.
All right, the motion to approve, Mr. Kiermany Allison.
Yay.
Thank you. Wayne Bailey. Gail Branch Mohammed.
Yes.
Thank you. Janet Collins.
Yes.
Thank you. Diane Duke. James Ellis. Fred Frazier. Tamika Gibbs.
Yes.
Thank you. Oliver Hart. Mr. Hart?
I believe he left.
Okay. Alicia Nasenzo?
You have to unmute, Ms. Nasenzo. Can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Now
I can.
Yes.
Thank you. Fior Ortiz Joyner?
Yes.
Thank you. Robert Puca. Celine Rosado. Thank you. Brian Saunders.
Yes.
Thank you. Meredith Staten. Mark Thurton.
Yes.
Thank you. Ethel Tyus. Gib Viconi.
Yes.
Thank you. Irsa Weatherspoon.
Yes.
Thank you. Robert Witherwax, yes. Deborah Young. The motion passes 12 in favor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Walker, for your commitment to the neighborhood. And again, I would just recommend, with the help of Officer Vidal, that we get connected with you. So if there's any problems, you don't have to find out at a meeting like
Right.
this. Okay? So
Can I
we
say,
appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, next will be the Crown Inn. Just want to pull it up here. Matthew Roth.
I'm here.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Okay, so the other principal is Anatoly Dubinsky.
Yes.
Okay, great. You're also known as Franklin Beer and Grocery Inc.
Franklin Beer and Grocery, yeah.
Okay. The address of the premises is 724 Franklin Avenue between St. John's and Lincoln.
That's correct.
And okay, and you've been in operation 10 years?
I'm sorry, it's between Park and Sterling. I thought you were talking about Franklin Park.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we've been in operation since 2011.
Okay, great. And it's a restaurant and bar with we have liquor, wine, beer, and cider. Indoor service area has 10 tables, 30 seats
Yes.
at those tables, one bar, 15 seats at the bar.
Yes.
Okay, maximum capacity 74. And
Yes.
your indoor hours of service is Sunday, 1 a.m. to 4 a.m., Monday through Thursday from 4 p.m. to 4 a.m., and Friday and Saturday, 1 p.m. to 4 a.m. Is that correct?
Technically, it is correct, but we've been closing pretty much by 2 every day.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And your noise attenuation measures are the same as the last renewal, as you have stated?
Yes.
What are they?
Well, we have security letting us know if anything else is, if anything's bothering anybody. We haven't really had any noise complaints of late. We close the windows after a certain time. We close the backyard, I believe, at 11 during the week and at 12 on the weekends. You know, we have soundproofing in the ceiling. We do not have a decibel reader by any means, but we've not really been asked to over the last couple of years.
Okay. Thank you. In your outdoor space, and you only have one, so you're not you haven't taken advantage of the COVID provision, correct?
We actually do have a tent in the front, but that also we're pretty much done out there during the week by 11 p.m. Although, again, rehashing what you guys just discussed for the last case, you know, midnight has sort of been the go-to time on the week.
Okay. Okay, so let me just get back to the first outdoor space. So you said that is the same as what was listed on your application.
Right, in the
That
backyard.
Okay, so that's the garden grounds. Where is that located?
Right in the backyard.
Okay, so that's 20 by 25 square foot space and 15 tables, 30 seats at the table. Maximum capacity is 30. So in that space, you have the hours of Sunday, 11 p.m. to 11 a.m., Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. And you have Friday, Saturday at 1 p.m. to 11 p.m., correct?
Is that what is written down? I believe we closed the yard at midnight, but you know, that's up for discussion if necessary.
Okay. All right. So we will discuss that. But now my question is, what you don't have on your application is that tent space you're talking about, We don't have any
Yeah.
information for it.
Right. I don't know. I mean, unfortunately my partner is the one that filled it out, and he's in another country right now, which is why I'm on the meeting. But yeah, if we have to send that in, we can. But we don't plan on using it as the weather gets colder. We're not putting up heaters. We're not putting up a tent or anything like that.
So what is the information on that space? You said it's a tent.
I mean, it's applied for. I mean, it's legal. I just don't know why my partner did not write it on the actual application. Is there actually a line for that on the application?
Yes, it actually comes under the outdoor service area too.
Okay.
So I would like you to
Can we amend
fill
that?
this
Can I
out.
add it?
Yeah, I would like you to complete it. But for now, what
Sure.
it is, what is the dimensions of the space out there and your tables and chairs?
I believe it's 8 by 17 or 8 by 16. I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I believe we have 5 tables that are 4-seaters.
Okay, so you have 20 seats. Is that what you're saying? And that's it?
Yep.
Okay, and what are the hours of that space?
Whenever we open the doors in the front, whether it's 1 p.m. until, like I said earlier, during the week it's pretty much closed by, actually I think all week it's nobody's out there past 11 p.m.
All right. And your sound system inside.
Regular couple speakers inside, no
Okay.
speakers outside.
Okay. No live entertainment.
Nope.
And number of employees 10, and the security personnel is 1.
Correct. Yeah, one person at the door checking for vaccinations and for ID, and they are licensed and bonded.
Okay, thank you for the extra information. And the number of residences in the building where the premises is located is 8?
That could be somewhere around there. A couple of apartments upstairs. I don't know exactly who occupies it.
Okay, it's not
Maybe that's what
necessarily
it was
who,
last
but
time.
just having the number just is not really, just what about the residences in the building to the left, right, and rear view?
The number of people?
Yeah, well, are you surrounded by neighbors? To your immediate
Yeah,
left,
we have neighbors on both sides. Obviously, there's commercial space on either side of us, and then there's an apartment building behind the yard where we see the side of the wall. So we don't butt up against another yard.
Okay, so it's listed here as 0.
Okay, so that could be 0.
Okay, well, that doesn't fit with what you just described. But I'm gonna put this out to our members online here. Do we have
Sure.
any questions for Mr. Roth?
Chair Weatherspoon, this is Fiorenti's Joyner.
Yes.
I just wanted to state that if you're looking at Google, there are neighbors to the left, so the number is not 0.
Thank you. Okay, so that's definitely something that has to be updated properly, Mr. Roth.
Sure.
Any
Chair
other? I'm
Chair
sorry. Any other
Weatherspoon.
questions? Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Gibbs?
Yes. Has there in the package, has there been the postage attached, the signage attached to the package that you received for notifying the neighbors?
Yes, there is. The notification is in the package. Yes.
And Officer Vidal, do we have any complaints for Crown Inn?
We have, as far as 311 calls, we have 15 going back to January of 2020, all for noise complaints. We do have 1 complaint report for unattended property of a cell phone that was taken. One of the patrons left their property unattended and was taken. And that's all I really have for the Crown.
Okay, so I'm just gonna ask you, Mr. Roth, are you aware of those complaints?
My partner probably is more so aware than I was. I was living in Colorado for the last year and a half until 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
In terms of a basic noise complaint, that usually goes right to management and then goes to my partner, and then we try to address it, as fast as we can.
Officer Vidal, when was the last noise complaint?
The last, yeah, 1 second. Looks like September 13th of 2021.
Oh, September 13th.
That
Okay.
was 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so
Do we know what time that came in?
At midnight 52.
Okay.
were you in town then, Mr. Rock? Or
Yeah, I was here for that for sure. In terms of being notified for a noise complaint,
Yeah.
typically, you don't get a phone call for a noise complaint. On occasion, somebody might come by, but I'm not the one working, but it doesn't mean that I can't hear about it. Specifically, I did not hear about that particular one now, but doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Okay, so I guess that might be a conversation with your management team.
Oh, yeah.
If it gets escalated, it goes to management first before it hits.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, listen, anybody, somebody could
I'm gonna
be
send Captain. I'm
having a
actually in a meeting right.
What's that?
Can you mute? Pia?
He did.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. He got a call. Yes, what were you saying, Mr. Rock?
I was just saying that, if there is a noise complaint, if there's a bartender on that evening, then yes, they'll deal with the situation at hand if it's really something serious. If you get a call again later on that night, then it may, reach me or my partner. But if there's no other complaints after the original complaint, it usually doesn't go much deeper than that.
Okay. Brian, did you have something that you had to say?
Yes. I frequently walk up and down Franklin Avenue, and the same thing going for 95 South. Just make sure that your outdoor space in the front is closed at midnight. There's been several times at 2 o'clock in the morning, I've seen it like in full swing. So like the same rules for 95 South, I like to see it done for Crown Inn as well. So yeah, I have walked up and down Franklin Avenue at nighttime and have seen the outdoor space, live and well. So if you can make sure your staff close it down before, not late at night, but before, not 1 o'clock in the morning, but stick to 12 o'clock as well. I don't know if you
Oh,
agree
absolutely should be at 12.
Okay, great. So is that it, Brian? Yes. Hi, Celine?
Yeah, I wanted to know if they had music in their outdoor areas, either in the front or in their backyard.
No, we do not.
Okay, I have another question. I
Sure.
thought backyards were supposed to close at 10. Am I wrong on that?
Not specific, nothing that we've ever been told by anybody in particular. We've been operating the backyard the same for the last 10 years, and we've unfortunately a few noise complaints may pop up. We don't know if it's from the yard in the front, in the back, inside, but again, we've been operating fairly stress-free for a decade.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you finished, Celine?
Yeah, I was only gonna say that many of the establishments that I visit and that I know their owners, they have all been mandated to 10 p.m. So I'm just surprised that they close their yard at 11.
All right. I mean, it could be a landlord thing. I'm not 100% sure, but it's something that we can definitely look into.
Well, maybe our chair can speak to that.
1 second, excuse me. Mark, before you speak, Rob, do you have any kind of indication, any kind of information?
I will look. Give me a moment.
Yes. Okay, while you're looking, let me just get to Mark. Mark, you still have a question?
Yes. Has your establishment, have they done a march on your location?
I've had marches done for sure at all of my locations. I don't remember the last march that I've had there specifically, but again, marches usually happen, after, a lot of, negative feedback. So if we haven't had it, then hopefully that means we haven't had much of that. But, I've had them for sure. All, every year at some point. I don't really remember the last one there, like I said, but again, we haven't even been open, much except for the last couple months of this year. So
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Mark. Rob, did you have the information yet? Is that a thumb?
Still checking.
Okay, so
Still
let's
digging.
go.
Still
Collins.
digging.
Okay, let's go to Miss
Very
Collins.
deep.
Hi, Miss Collins. Miss
Sorry.
Collins. Oh, that's
Yes,
okay.
I'm sorry. I'm
That's
trying
okay.
to get lunch while we're working. On the application, there is words. I think the question is Madam Chair. One point about the same as last time. Where's that? I'm trying to look at it now while I speak.
Can you?
Oh.
I'm sorry, but can you speak a little louder because
Oh.
I'm losing you?
Yes,
Yeah.
sorry. Where
problem.
underneath where it says noise attenuation measures, it says same. And then under another, okay. And then that's I guess outdoor and indoor. And the other place it says also noise attenuation, it says same as last renewal. And I heard him say, Mr. Hoff, Roth? Sorry, I'm not looking at the screen now for your last name, so I'm looking at
Okay.
Mr. Roth. Yeah, it's Mr. Roth.
Yes, Mr. Roth. So is there any way to elaborate in writing about what should be in those spaces instead of the word same?
I mean, listen, if we're talking about, noise, measuring noise, many years ago, we did have a decibel reader. We can definitely get another one. I think that my partner may have written the same, as in like nothing's really changed throughout, the entire operation of the business, between 2012 to now.
Is that written in detail then? Because it says same, it doesn't.
It's
say
not
what-
written in detail. If you
Yeah.
want something written in detail, we can write something in detail.
That's what I'm asking. Yes, that something needs to be
Sure.
written in detail about both places, same as last renewal, and then the other spot where it says same.
I got you.
I've completed my search, and though I see a couple renewals, they don't get explicit about the hours of operations in the minutes. So we'd have to go back to the original license and other papers, which I don't have. So no evidence.
This
If I
is
remember-
Celine. Can I? Okay.
Who's speaking?
I was just going to say that I remember it being 10 o'clock as well for other applicants.
Okay, Celine, you were saying something?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just that
That's
my hand
okay.
was up and I had to put it down, put it back up.
Okay.
I guess for me, my thing is we are not operating business as usual anymore. We're still in a pandemic. So what is today is not the same as what was in 2020. And 2020 was not the same as 2019. So to kind of put this application in without paying proper attention to detail and making it thorough, as well as we have new committee members. I'm a little confused. I'm just a little confused.
So where are we? What we said, Mr. Roth, is that so because most of us have heard of the outdoor space closing at 10 p.m. There are a few of us. I don't know if anyone else recalls later, but I know that's something that we've been fighting with everybody else to make sure it's 10 o'clock. So I definitely in agreement there. So we talked about you possibly getting a digital reader or bringing it back in terms of sound.
Sure.
A decibel reader, excuse me.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
We talked about this application that's incomplete. I understand that your partner's not here, but this is what's before us.
Sure.
And it's just really important that really gets filled out properly based on just what you said in terms of the tent and the other things. So right now we're at this 10 p.m. issue, and we don't, according to Mr. Widowax, we don't have the original at hand, the initial. So there's just a lot of things going on. It is a little confusing because when we get it at this point, we really expect it to be thorough and clear. And it doesn't help that you're kind of here by yourself and the
No,
person that has the
it's
most
not an
information
excuse. It's
is
not
not
an
here.
excuse. I'm here to listen.
Yeah. So I'm going to leave it to my members in terms of how to structure a motion going forward for this application.
Before we do that, can
Oh,
I
wait,
just
hold
ask-
on. Wait, hold on. Because there is a hands up, Ms. Collins. Are you on the phone? Is that what it is and you can't see us?
No, I'm eating some food. I can see.
Oh, you can see us. Okay.
I'm just trying to eat and also participate. I'm sorry.
No, the eating is good. The eating is good. I just got to make sure to try to keep it in the order. So let me hear from Gil Vaconi, and then I'll come back to you. Okay.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
I just have one question for Officer Vidal, which is whether or not he knows if there was a discussion about, or the proprietor suggested there may have been March operations at this location before. I just wondered if Officer Vidal could confirm that.
My records indicate there were no summonses issued from the period that I ran it, from January of 1st of 2020 to present day.
Okay. So I think once again we've sort of heard the proprietor say that the outdoor spaces are generally in use until 11 p.m. Is that correct?
Right, on the street, on the front is supposed to be 11. A gentleman on the panel, who I can't see his face right now, mentioned that he's seen it run later than that. The yard is 11 p.m. during the week and midnight during the weekend. That's how we've been doing. There is Mr. Saunders. So yeah, I mean that's essentially where we've been for the last half a year.
Okay, and so we can have just once again sort of addressing the issue of how practices have changed somewhat during the pandemic. I think we're not out of the pandemic yet. We do want to be somewhat sensitive to helping the hospitality businesses in this district sort of come out of the hole. And I think when we make if we are diverging from what our guidance usually is for outdoor spaces, which usually is 10 p.m. I think we should understand that we're doing that with a view towards helping out hospitality businesses at this point. We're not necessarily trying to set a new precedent here. And I think we still have an interest in maintaining quality of life on the avenues where we have concentrations of bars and restaurants. So with that in mind, I would like to move that the committee recommend supporting the renewal of this license with the stipulations that the street closes at 11 p.m. as Mr. Ra has indicated, and that the yard closes at 11 p.m. Monday or Sunday through Thursday, 12 a.m. Friday and Saturday, as Mr. Ra has mentioned.
Do we have a second?
Excuse me, before we do that though, I was.
Yeah, I'm going to get back to you.
Before the
I'm going to get back to you, Ms. Collins. I'm going to get back to you. I need to have a second first, though, before I get back to you.
But maybe what I have to say could influence the motion. That's
the motion has been made, and it doesn't sound like there's going to be a second. So it sounds like unless somebody wants to second it, it sounds like the motion dies.
So I just want to make sure if we have a second before Ms. Collins speaks.
I'm sorry, would you mind just repeating those hours again for the weekend outdoors?
So the hours, and again, Mr. Roth can correct me if I'm mistaken, but I believe I heard that the street enclosure it closes at 11 p.m. 7 days, and that the yard closes at 11 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, 12 a.m. Friday, Saturday.
What I was doing, I was nodding before that I would agree to that. But again, the street really closes at midnight, Friday and Saturday, according to, the sort of unwritten rule, but we have been closing it around 11. So again, if we're getting into technicalities, if you look it up online, which one of you was doing earlier, it does say, after May, the curfew is lifted 12 o'clock is the city. You could be open later than 12 o'clock if you're in New York State. So we're abiding by that. If you guys are going to propose we close an hour earlier, look, I'm not gonna nickel and dime go back and forth over this, for this particular, the winter's coming up. I don't even know, really what's going to happen in that, at that point anyway. So again, we're not going to have heaters. We're not going to have coverage. So if you want it to be 11 for whatever reason, I'll take 11.
Mr. Witherwax, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you, and I'll happily second that.
Ms. Collins?
Yes, when is your license up for renewal?
Can you speak up just a little?
When is
loud?
your license up for renewal?
I believe sometime in the next month or two.
Can we know exactly when?
It might say so on the application. If this is the meeting that it's called for, it's going to be November. I'm sorry. I believe it's the first week in November.
November. Okay. Well, I don't know what the parliamentary procedure is on that, but since we're looking at an incomplete application and we have so many questions, is it possible to just table this application until next month?
No, his application is actually expires on the 31st of this month, so we need to dispose of it this month.
I see.
Okay, so Rob, can you do a roll call, please?
Can
Do
we
we need to
repeat the
restate the
motion,
motion?
please?
Do we need to restate the motion?
Yes.
Please.
Motion is to recommend support for the renewal of this license with the stipulation that the street enclosure will end service at 11 p.m. 7 days, and that the rear yard will end service 11 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, 12 a.m. Friday and Saturday.
Roll call, please, Rob.
Sure. Kiermany Allison?
I have a question before we start. Before you start, Mr. Witherwax, Ms. Witherspoon, when are you requesting a completed application from this applicant?
Right away.
Okay.
Right
Okay.
away.
Thank
So
you.
we will have this ready for the full board vote.
Okay,
So
thank
I was
you.
going to get to that at the end.
Okay. Thank
I
you.
was going to state that. You're welcome.
Sorry, Mr. Witherwax.
Not a problem. Always happy to clear things up. Kiermany Allison?
Yeah, still support.
Thank you. Gail Branch Mohammed?
Yes.
Thank you. Janet Collins?
No.
Thank you. Tamika Gibbs?
Yes.
Thank you. Oliver Hart?
Yes.
Thank you. Alicia Nasenzo?
Yes.
Thank you. Fior Ortiz Joyner?
Yes.
Thank you. Robert Puca? Celine Rosado?
Yes.
Thank you. Brian Saunders?
Yes.
Thank you. Meredith Staten? Mark Thurton?
No.
Thank you. Kib Viconi?
Yes.
Thank you. Irsa Weatherspoon?
Yes.
Thank you. Robert Witherwax, yes. And Roger Myers, I apologize, you're out of alphabetical order. Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, can you hear me? Okay.
Yep, all set. The motion passes. 12 in favor, 2 opposed.
Thank you. Mr. Roth, I just want to indicate a few things. To have the decibel reader included as part of the application, to please fill it out as discussed and as we agreed and as the motion has passed. Also, the application needs to be in office no later than Thursday. Would that be enough time?
Sure.
Great. And I also just want to speak about those complaints, to please take them seriously, regardless of who gets the call. If you can communicate that to your staff, that when a complaint comes in, it's not about just like, okay, hang up the phone and it's not communicated. It's taken very seriously. We've had so many applications that we've had to deal with complaints, and we were kind of hard. So it's important that it's acknowledged and it's cured, basically. So we thank you for your business and your tenure, in the community. And I hope to get your information by Thursday.
Okay,
You can
thank
send
you,
it to
guys.
the board office.
All right, no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, we had one more application, but at the beginning of the meeting, they did not say, they didn't answer. So that was for LA Burrito. Is anyone else here? I'm sorry, it was a situation at my door. So that person is not here representing LA Burrito. So this actually, do we have any questions, any business that we wanted to discuss? Any concerns?
Can I make a suggestion, Chair Witherspoon? Being a proprietor in this area, I've since we're in this time, can we, in some way going forward, I know I've done it on my update application when I did my renewal, can we put something, or can we encourage the proprietors to put COVID, like, for instance, when they were taking advantage of the outdoor front space, put COVID and whatever the situation is, because it's only during the COVID times, because so we won't have the situation going forward. I know some people do, some proprietors do it, some don't, but we could, if it was done, if it was on the update form that's sent from the board office, we'll know going forward, and we know it's not a permanent part of the actual license, it's just here during COVID times.
Yes, thank you. That's a great suggestion. We have Sean Smith. Did you have a question or comment? Mr. Smith? Okay, Rob?
Yeah, I think Ms. Collins' point a few moments ago was a really well taken one, that we are really always under the gun with these renewals. And I'd just like to make the point to the committee that we don't have to be. There's nothing that stops us from considering renewals that are 2, 3, 4, 5, even 6 months out from their renewal date, or at least starting the ball rolling on that to get community feedback on somebody. So
yes, I just want to cut across you, Rob, and talk more about that first. Okay, so we can have a plan, so we can speak to the team together. Can we agree on that? Okay. With that being said, Rob and I are going to call a meeting outside of our regular meeting, so we can discuss some ideas on how we can improve and streamline things that make sense, but things that are also pointed and specific. Okay, so I'm hoping that sits well with all of you to have that meeting. It will be, we're going to give you at least a 7-day notice, so we can be prepared with an agenda to speak. Is that okay with everyone? Great. All right, well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for this evening. Thank you for your time and just your thoroughness and attentiveness as we go through each and every one of these applications. So have a great week, and you'll hear from us shortly.
Miss Chair Essa, I think Officer Vidal has something to say.
Oh, hi, I'm sorry.
It's quite all right. It was just to Mr. Walker, before he signs out, I send him my phone number privately so I can put him in contact with our new community affairs officers. So Mr. Walker, if you just make a note on the chat, my phone number is on there, and reach out to me so I can put you in contact with them, okay?
Thank you for that, Mr. Vidal. That's what we call teamwork. Thank you. All right, everyone, have a good evening, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you. Good night.